And right about this time that Floyd Mayweather was promoting what he called Olympic-style drug testing, which it was never Olympic-style drug testing. That was complete BS because it was not 24/7, 365. He called it that, and everybody said, oh, well, Mayweather's the one that started the Olympic-style testing. It's complete nonsense. They're completely wrong. Everybody that believes that is a fool for listening to it. So anyway, back to the what was I saying now?
Well, I'm not going to give you no answers to the test. You're the professor.
Well, okay, you want to help me with my train of thought, then
I know what you was. I know what you were saying. Go ahead.
But I started to say that there's an allowable limit or a threshold for a lot of these drugs. And in the beginning, I talked about caffeine, but there's a threshold for marijuana. Now they completely discontinued it, but WADA still tests for marijuana, and they used to allow 15 micrograms. Now they raised the limit to 150. So if you don't smoke a doobie right before you go in the ring, you're probably not going to test positive. But clenbuterol now has an allowable limit. So a lot of these drugs, it's like a speeding, and there's a sign up and it says you got to go slower than this, and they've got a radar gun, and as long as you're under that allowable limit, they're not going to detect it. So are there people that are smart people that are circumventing VADA right now in the world of boxing? The answer is yes.
Now, you said that in the tweet.
Because this is important.
All right.
If what really needs to happen is 24/7, 365. Now, to start this movement, I basically paid for 2 of the 3 boxers that have ever done this in history $20,000 a piece out of my own pocket, trying to get this movement of 24/7, 365 started. I offered this to Spence. I offered this to Haney. I offered this to Crawford. I could not get now. Understand that when I'm making this offer to them, they already have fights and they're already enrolled in VADA testing at that time. What I'm trying to get them to do is when that fight ends, to show the world that you're not on drugs, enter a 24/7, 365. Then when you fight a fighter coming up, then he has to join the pool, and hopefully you can get enough of these guys to get the movement started that you'll have some of the people that do make millions of dollars and can't afford to do it and want to help clean up the sport that will enroll in 24/7, 365. Now, even with me offering sponsorship, I have had a difficult time trying to get my own snack fighters to do what I'm telling you that I'm attempting to do.
Got you. So let's table that because I want to ask you about that. But I want the audience to understand what you mean when you said VADA's DCO representation came with Android at 10:30 at night and even 6:30 in the morning. Do they come to your house? Do they come to your gym?
No,
where did they come?
They will come to the gym, but they came to the Marriott Hotel 4/10 of a mile down the block from Snack. They've come to the track, the Merritt track in Oakland, and tested Devin Haney there. So they come, typically if they can't find you at the location you say you're going to be, then they start calling people, and you've got the trainer, you've got the fighter, you've got, my name and phone number and addresses on a lot of these enrollment forms. Then they'll call me if they can't find them, because I try to herd them to VADA so that they can get their test done.
So when they came, when they came to Andre, let's say 10:30 at night, I'm sure you probably wasn't there. Did Andre say, "Oh, Victor"? Did he call you and say, "Hey, they just got here"? Or they just
left? Andre Rozier, the trainer, was there and he was filming it and he was sending me pictures, so I knew when they were there. I got a video while they were doing it.
Got you. Now back to the cooperation. You said you can't even convince your own snack fighters to be a part of 365 24/7. Why won't they cooperate with you? I mean, you sound like you're the expert.
The argument that I hear is that when they don't want to do it when the other guy's not doing it. So if they know that, they can force the other guy through me paying for the testing, right? And a lot of times the promoter pays or the boxer pays themselves, but then they know that they're on a level playing field, whether it be 8 weeks or 12 weeks out. But trying to get these guys to come out and say, here I am, I'm Nonito Donaire that back in 2012, and no matter what anybody else in boxing does, I'm going to prove that I'm willing to be tested 24/7, 365. I have not had other boxers since Nonito and then thereafter Edwin Rodriguez, that have been willing to do that.
Speaking of testing, we've heard you say what you just said a few minutes ago on Twitter. You were referring to Memo Heredia. I actually did a video about this in February when I first reached out to our mutual acquaintance to get you on the show to explain your tweet when you said smart cheaters, like you just said a few minutes ago, smart cheaters know how to circumvent the test. LF1, LR3, don't misquote me. I think that's what you were saying.
No, it's IGF-1 long R3, LR3.
There you go.
It's like growth hormone, but growth hormone is administered in milligrams or thousandths of a gram, and insulin-like growth factor, they have regular only stays in the system for about an hour, but the long R3 form stays in the system for about 10 hours. So it's much more effective. So can you walk into a pharmacy in Mexico and buy this? You can, right over the counter without a prescription.
And that's on the band.
This is being transferred over the border, and the boxers here are using this. That's my understanding, yes.
Right. So the IG1, right? Is that
IGF, and insulin-like growth factor 1.
There it is, IGF-1. I've seen it myself. That's on the banned substance list, correct?
Of course it is, even though they don't have a test for it.
Right. Well, you mentioned that. That's where I was going down that lane. You had mentioned that it's a powerful and undetectable drug that even the most stringent VADA testing don't even have a testing protocol for it. What did you mean by that when you said
Meaning the WADA accredited lab, considered to be one of the top in the world, Smyrtle, which is in Utah, which is what USADA uses and what VADA uses, they don't have a test for it. And there's basically, to be able to test for it, you have to have 3 prongs. So like a table, to be able to stand up, has to have 3 legs, can't stand with 2. So it's a biomarker, it's an isoform, and it's serum IGF-1, or those 3 prongs. So they don't have this isomer test. They don't have it. They haven't developed it. Now, here, let me tell you what boxers are doing now. There's a big myth out there about the 20 years since Balco. I've heard over and over and over by a lot of stupid people, well, they'll just make another undetectable steroid. They'll just make another one. Oh, they'll just wait till the next one comes along. Post-Balco, there has not been a single undetectable anabolic steroid in existence that's been used by athletes. And the reason is, pre-Balco, in the anabolic steroid category, there was 2 prongs. The first was, and all anabolic steroids are similar in structure to testosterone. That's number 1. Number 2 is you had to have scientific evidence proving that it promoted protein synthesis or muscle growth. After Balco, when the clear came along, which was THG that was undetectable, there was no science whatsoever on that. So they just changed the rule. They removed the prong requiring scientific evidence, and you have, when they do these tests, what they call a mass spectrogram fragmentation pattern. And it's got peaks like this. Looks like mountain peaks. If these peaks are in the same area as testosterone, and it's similar in structure to testosterone, they don't even need a name, and they will call it a positive test, just like they did with the clear or THG. So all this nonsense out there, but oh, he's on some undetectable stuff, oh, there's another undetectable steroid. Somebody, substituted a methyl for an ethyl group, and we got a new, undetectable designer steroid. All bullshit. Whoever says that has no clue what they're talking about.